What's going on, everybody? Welcome in to the Blazers Uprise podcast. We hopefully we're live. Let me double check, make sure everything's good to go before we set sail on yet another podcast.
The video's live.
We'll talk about Jusuf Nurkic's injury. We'll talk about all that. We'll talk about the update. That wasn't really much of an update. We'll go into that, and we'll chill for a little bit like usual. We gotta jump into picks against the spread because it is 428. Do not look at the scores of the games. Just vote on what you think. You can look at the scores after you vote. Don't spoil them or anything because, when we're late, this is what we do. Didn't want to be late today, but my alarm is a whole different beast right now. So I'm not even going to get into that. Let's just get into the records. Eric's killing it. We're kind of killing it. Me and Chad are tied. We're 6 games behind Eric. Can't make up ground. We're all having a good February. I can't remember the last time any of us were below 500, to be honest. I think there's a couple days in February. I think I just filter them out because I don't want to remember them. But, yeah, man, I feel like pretty much every day. Like, I felt like I did terrible, and I was 5-5 on Wednesday. So yeah, we'll see if we can keep that trend going. So moving into the first game, we got Orlando, we got Minnesota. Orlando's favored by 7.5. I'm doubling down on Minnesota. Orlando just is not impressive to me. Minnesota has been playing better, I think. 7.5 is a really big spread, especially for a team that kind of lacks home court advantage. Orlando doesn't have like the best home court crowds. So I'm doubling down on Minnesota.
I'm taking Minnesota in this game, too. I think the Magic are going to win. I think they're playing a little better than you give them credit for, but 7.5 is a lot for them to cover, so.
Yep. Alrighty.
Russell, first round exit Westbrook with the $2 donation, says, I want to double down today.
He's the double down guy with the donation. We said we would do that in the past, so he's going to be the... Andy just recently bought Birch, too, so gotta give it to Russell, first round exit Westbrook. So just let us know the game you want to double down on when it pops up, and you will be the double down. Atlanta and Brooklyn. Brooklyn's favored by 2.5. I'm taking Atlanta. Brooklyn's without Kyrie. Atlanta, they have Capella now. They got Trae Young playing great. John Collins. Atlanta isn't an easy team to beat. We play them tomorrow, so it's a good thing they're on the second night of a back-to-back, but it's not just going to be some cakewalk for us. And it's not going to be a cakewalk for the Nets. I'm rolling with Atlanta there with my pick.
Yeah, I'm also going with Atlanta. They've actually been playing really well at home lately, beating some good teams. The Nets have been kind of up and down. Who knows what you get with them, so I'm going to take Atlanta.
Yeah. Next game we got make sure you vote in the chat too. Make your picks known. Toronto and Charlotte. Toronto is playing at home. Toronto is favored by 13.5. I'm still rolling with them, though. Big point spread, but Charlotte has kind of fallen off. They weren't at that high of a level before, so the fact that they've fallen off means they're just absolutely garbage. Devontae Graham has fallen off since his hot start. Toronto has been terrific all season long, so I'm going to take the Raptors there.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of people in chat are going Raptors, too. I'm going to take Toronto as well. They're just playing too well right now.
There's a lot of weird spreads today in, tough spreads to pick. Like, a lot of, double-digit spreads that were tough to pick, man. This is another one of them coming up right here. You got New Orleans at home playing against the Cleveland Cavaliers, and New Orleans is favored by 11.5. I'm rolling with New Orleans because Cleveland's without Andre Drummond. New Orleans has been playing really good basketball. I don't think Cleveland has anybody that can match up well with Zion. I assume that's going to be Kevin Love. I assume they're starting Kevin Love, Tristan Thompson. I don't think Kevin Love wants a piece of Zion. So I'm taking the Pelicans there.
Yeah, if you would have told me that the Pelicans would be double-digit favorites at some point in a game this year, I would have been kind of crazy. But I'm going with New Orleans as well, despite that. I just have a feeling they're going to blow Cleveland out in this game at home.
Yeah, very, very highly possible thing.
What Russell Westbrook, by the way, doubled down on the last game, Toronto.
Alrighty.
So that's Chat's double down for today.
There you go. Next game we got Milwaukee and OKC. Milwaukee is favored by 10.5. I'm rolling with OKC. I pressed the wrong button to reveal it. But OKC's like 31-11 in their last 42. So a 10.5 spread for Milwaukee is a little bit high in my opinion. I know Milwaukee's been great all season long, but it's a little bit high to go up against a team like the Thunder, so I'm taking OKC.
I would have taken OKC if they did not play last night, so I'm taking the Bucks in this game. I think they're gonna have the advantage not playing last night.
Fixing my hair because gotta get it right. Shit.
Just roll out of bed.
Honestly, yeah. Next game we got Miami and Dallas. Miami at home taking on the Mavs. Rematch of the 2011 finals. Miami's favored by 2. I'm taking the Mavericks. Miami's really struggled lately. The Mavericks are still playing decent basketball. Normally I would have taken Miami here, but they just, I don't know, they've kind of fallen off a bit lately. They've been hurt. Injuries are a big part of it. But honestly, that Iguodala trade I'm not super high on, so I'm taking the Mavs.
Yeah, I'm also taking the Mavs. I like the way they're playing, and I don't like the way Miami's playing. So
we're agreeing on a lot.
They've lost to some bad teams.
Seventh game. We got 10 games today. This is the seventh one. Memphis favored by 3.5. I think this is an easy pick for Memphis. They've been losing some games. They just lost Jaren Jackson Jr., but they haven't really been playing pushovers like the Kings. So now they get a pushover team like the Kings. This is kind of a get-right game for Memphis, and I think they'll take care of business tonight.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you there. Sacramento played last night as well, so that factored into my decision. Yeah, I didn't think I would take Memphis in this game, but I think they're going to pull this one out.
8th out of 10. We got Utah taking on Washington. Utah, another double-digit favorite, 10.5. I'm taking Washington because Utah has really struggled lately. Really, really struggled. So a 10.5 favorite, even against an awful Washington team, I don't buy it. And also, Washington still has a chance at the playoffs because of how low the record of the 8th seed is. You know what I mean? Like, Washington is within shouting distance at least. So,
yeah,
taking Washington.
I agree with your logic there again. Utah is not playing well enough to be favored by double digits, so I'll take the points, even though Utah should win in this game at home.
Alrighty. Second to last game, we got the Phoenix Suns taking on the Detroit Pistons. Phoenix Suns at home. I'm actually going to take Detroit. We saw Detroit play us well. Still got Derrick Rose and Christian Wood, assuming neither one of them got hurt. Phoenix Suns just lost Kelly Oubre. This is kind of like my screw it pick. Like, I'm just going to throw caution to the wind and go with Detroit on this one. Which my gut doesn't really say, but, you know, Phoenix was losing Oubre. I feel like that was a big part of their team, and they're going to have to adjust to that. So I'm taking Detroit.
Yeah, this is a tough one for me. I don't like the Suns usually, but I just have a feeling they're going to blow Detroit out at home tonight. And the spread is actually up to 9, so if it falls in that range, I'll give you a push, Tori. Yeah, I'm going to take the Suns in this one.
Because I would have definitely taken Detroit at 9. But yeah, push in between the spreads. That's what we normally do if the spread changes from the time I make the graphics to like game time.
In almost all the other games, the spread hadn't moved at all. Just kind of crazy.
Yeah,
usually it changes a lot.
There's a lot of games tonight too. Last game of the night, Eric still has his double down to pick. We got Denver versus the Clippers. Clippers are favored by 5.5. I'm rolling with the Clippers here. 5.5, kind of spread. Clippers have been super inconsistent. Nuggets have the better record on the season. But the Clippers are at home, so this was just a toss up to me. Two good teams here. But I'm rolling with the Clippers.
Yeah, I don't really like the way the Clippers have been playing lately. So I'm going to take Denver in this one. It's my double down just because I think it's going to be a really close game. And if Denver wins, I win. And if they lose by less than 5 or less, then I also win. So I'm going to take Denver in this one.
Make your final votes, and that'll wrap up picks against the spread.
If anyone has not voted for Washington and Utah game, it's 10.5 in favor of Utah in Utah. If you could please go back and vote on that one. I need a tiebreaker on that one. Is the only game I think that was tied.
Grab some real quick. I'll be like 2 seconds though. Alrighty, I don't even know why I had to tell you because that's right. But hopefully we get the Clippers winning, because then I can cut that deficit behind you in half, because that'd be a 3-game difference. That'd be a win for me, 2 losses for you. So I think that'd be a 3-game difference. I don't know, but that would be a huge game for me. That's also kind of the reason why I went with LAC. I was gonna go with the Clippers anyway, but that's I wanted that big turnaround. I gotta gain ground on you somehow.
I have well, I'm pretty proud of all of us. I mean, even though you guys are behind me, you guys are still doing well against the spread, so got to give it up for all of us. We've been on it this year. If we were all betting in Vegas, we'd all be professionals.
Oh, I know. That's the thing. We're all 10 games or more above 500. I believe me and Chat are 12, and you are. Let me go back to picks against the spread records. You are 24. So, but February's been phenomenal, and January was a good record too. So yeah, no, we're looking good, man. We're looking good.
Well, so I calculated the votes before Necron voted, so now the Denver and Clips game are tied at 5-5 too.
Gotta love those ties.
Did anyone not
let you figure them out while I deal with this?
Did anyone not vote on the Denver Clippers game? It was Clippers favored by 5.5. First person to vote for either team will sway it. Crispy Banana says Denver. Got to make sure you didn't vote. All right. Thank you, Crispy Bananas. Just in front of Joshua Collins, who had the Clippers, so it was close.
This guy asked me for my rec league team, so I'm finalizing my roster live on stream. There we go. Submitted it. Boom. Yeah, so Nurkic update or lack of an update came out yesterday. And it was I don't know. It wasn't really insightful to me. Were you able to read that too? Because it was on The Athletic. It was a Jason Quick article. So it was kind of behind a wall. It wasn't a paywall though, actually. I think it was like you got to have a free trial or the phone app or something.
Yeah, I have it up here, so I'll directly quote what Nurk said.
Let's hear the summary.
So I guess Quick kind of phrased it in a way that Nurk's been purposely ducking the media, and that the Blazers haven't made him available at all for interviews and stuff, which is it just adds to the like, come on guys, like give us something.
After
right?
O'Shea teased him as, this is gonna be our mid-season acquisition. Yeah.
Yep. And then also Nurk posts last Saturday, a picture of him loading.
Yeah. Like
he's almost ready to go and stuff. And then it's almost a week later and he still hasn't even practiced yet. I mean, come on, Nurk. Don't put those pictures and get us all excited.
The Windows 99 loading time takes days, takes weeks, takes months, takes years.
So they caught him in the locker room and he smiled. Quick put it, knowing that the gig was up and that he had to talk. And he told him, I have nothing to say, trying to get out of it. And then they basically wouldn't leave him alone. So he said it's hard to give hope because there's no dates for my return, so it's hard to talk about anything. I have no dates, so all the rumors, they don't make sense. People are going to say today, tomorrow, next week, a week later, but I have no dates. And then he said, all I know is I'm trying to figure out how I can get more practices because we don't have any practices. That's the only thing I can tell you. That's the only reason why I can come back if I find somehow to practice. So he's blaming it on their lack of practice time lately, which kind of sucks. Like, I mean, he can be involved in like drills and stuff.
Yeah.
And also it's like, I mean, when was the last time we had a back-to-back game? The day before the All-Star break? So like, why aren't they practicing at all?
That's a great question, man. I don't know. Why does the organization do a lot of the things that they do? I don't know. But yeah, that's a.
I understand they don't have like a full roster to practice, but it's not like the guys that are playing right now
roster to practice. They'd have 10. So
yeah. Then let's see. He just said, I can't tell you. Like they were asking him.
I'm so tired of the secrecy, man. I'm so tired of the secrecy.
Yeah.
I don't feel like other organizations are like this.
This is a key quote, though. He said, yeah, I can't be out 11 months and just jump in a game. It doesn't work that way, so we'll see. But I hope for the best. I'm not just sitting here. I'm working. We'll see. That's all I can tell you. So, like, does that mean he's not ready to go? Or he's saying he just needs a practice first before he plays? Or I don't know. Or does he need, like, a bunch of practices before he plays?
Yeah, I don't understand that, man. Like how, of course you can't. Of course you got ramped back up to it, but that's why you have workouts. That's why you. I mean, like there should be some practices. Like, are we going a whole month without practicing? Like, is that the plan here? You know, when we're struggling too on some certain things that we could probably improve with some practice time. Like, I don't know. It kind of raised my eyebrows. Like, wow, they're not practicing at all at this point. Like. I mean, I get it. They're shorthanded, but nothing. Like,
and then, yeah, it kind of goes to like if we had a G League team too, we could send them down and practice with the G League team if they weren't having practice time here. So that's another factor from being cheap, is we don't have that option. Who knows if this will work out, but the Warriors used one of their G League team spots for a guy who wasn't even draft eligible last year, and then ended up drafting him. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Smolagic.
Alan Smolagic.
So like,
yeah.
But we don't even have that option to like develop players or do anything. We have to send them to another team where they're not learning our system. They're not being controlled by the team at all. Last year we didn't even have two-way contracts either.
You see that in baseball too. Guys will make like rehab starts and whatnot because you know they don't really need. I don't know. There's less difference between like a practice and a start. I feel like in baseball than there is in the NBA. But you know you have rehab starts. And Nurkic could be down in the G League having rehab practices and play. You know. He could even play a rehab game. I think I've seen that before a couple times with like pretty notable NBA players playing a G League game just to kind of get into game action, but just not the NBA level.
Well, another thing they do in baseball is simulated games, where it's like it's a real game, but it doesn't count for anything. It's just like the players on your team, so they could do something like that too and just simulate a game. It's not, I know it's not the same thing, but like to his body, it's not different. It's just a mental thing, which is why I really want him to play in a game this year so he can figure out like get that hurdle over with.
That's the thing. They don't have enough bodies. Call me up. I can go down there and run a scrimmage. I might be absolute trash compared to them, but I can run a little bit, get up down the court a little bit, and just be a body. I'm just saying. But no, I
you know what happened?
What?
your alarm wouldn't go off and you'd miss the practice and
No,
you'd forever
that
be
that wouldn't.
like
No,
mad at
that wouldn't
yourself
be.
for not
Yeah,
making
no,
it.
no, no, no,
I'm
no,
just teasing
no.
you.
I know, but no, I was supposed to go do something, and then that fell through. So then I was laying in bed and try to get my alarm to go off. You calling me? I woke up. I was like, crap, because I was scared to fall asleep. I'm like, my alarm's probably not gonna go off or something. I don't know. But that's why I got everything ready beforehand. Anyway, pivoting this onto talks about alarms. um, no, I just feel like if they wanted to bring Nurkic back, they could, and they're not. That was the vibe I got from this. Like,
Yeah,
like,
it's really hard for me because we killed them for playing Hood, and we kill them if they bring Nurk back and he tears his Achilles, right? And with the calf injury, we're kind of learning that you can't that those things are sometimes connected. So I understand why they're being because like it
well,
would basically ruin his career if he had something happen to his Achilles right now. So um,
yeah,
I
yeah.
really hope that they're being cautious
But
because of
like that's what
that
I
and
thought
not
before
because
this interview, and this interview like took me kind of away from that. It wasn't like Nurk saying like I'm still
yeah.
recovering from my calf injury, or I'm still like, he could have easily just said that, and it was he starts talking about practice time and all and other stuff that made me think like maybe it's not really the calf, maybe it's other things. I don't know. But at this point I think it could be likely that we see Zach Collins before Nurkic.
Well, the weird part about what you're saying is in that interview at the trade deadline where you said he talked about Nurk being the midseason acquisition instead of a trade. Um, he basically said that Collins wasn't going to play this year unless he was
Yeah,
like way ahead of schedule and like way 110% or whatever he said. So like it made it seem like, and that was after the calf injury too. So it made it seem like Collins might not play this year, but Nurk was for sure. But now you're kind of saying the
yeah.
opposite. Like we're probably going to see Collins this year, but like Nurk, no,
I don't
maybe
know.
not.
Yeah, I mean, like right now, I don't know what to make of the situation, man. That's what's so frustrating about it. I don't know what to make of the situation. Like, we thought we had pretty good feel on it. Like Nurk, sometime around the All Star break. Zach, sometime in March. Now it's like Zach seems like, I don't know, Zach's lifting weights. He seems like he's progressing pretty well. Nurkic, who knows what the
He's
hell is up with
well,
him? Like, like
well, that's the other thing. Zach was on the court before the game, like warming up and
which
shooting
he's been
around and
doing for a
stuff. Nurk's
while.
not doing
Yeah,
that. But if it's just about not being able to practice or not having practice time, why isn't he out in shoot
exactly.
around and on the court
Exactly. So I
doing
mean,
drills and stuff? Like that doesn't
I'm
make any
guessing the
sense.
calf isn't 100%, but I don't know why he wouldn't just come out and say that. I don't know why he said all the other stuff. That's just what really confused me.
Well, has the team even admitted that he's had a calf strain yet? Like, I think that was just like Quick was the only one who reported that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, he was because the team listed him on the injury report like out due to broken left leg or whatever it was. So I don't know, man. This is just a really weird situation, really weird scenario. I've never seen anything like this in terms of a player being injured on a team that I follow, and like the secrecy and just like the way it's kind of developed. It's just, I don't know, man, because I get asked for updates from chat, like any update on Nurk. What do you think about Nurk? What do you think? When do you think he's gonna come back? And like my prediction earlier this season, um, obviously that didn't come true, and now it's like I get those questions. I don't know how to answer them. Like I do not know what to make of not only Nurkic's injury, but just like the rest of the season too.
Hmm.
Um,
Well, just looking at the schedule, so we talked about that 6 game homestand
mm-hmm,
last night, and there's 2 games in between the first and the second one. We have 2 full days off, so we play Saturday and don't play again until
mm-hmm.
Tuesday. and then later on that homestand we play Thursday and don't play till Sunday. So you'd think they'd practice with having 2 full days in between those games. At least both times, at least one practice for each. So that would be 2 full practices if they're not practicing on the other days. That's baffling to me, but so you got to think if it is just a matter of being practice and he's close to being able to practice, that sometime during that homestand he should get a couple of practices in, and then hopefully sometime soon after that be ready to play. But I'm through trying to guess or figure out stuff based on what they're saying. It's like so hard.
I'm through trying to guess too, and that's the other tough part of it. When do you think Nurkic will be back? It's like I don't know anymore, guys, because every time I say something like something comes out, something happens where Nurkic has a calf strain, or Nurkic still isn't practicing, or just something super, disappointing. So I'm done speculating on that. I'm done trying to predict wins and losses. Like, I'm done, this season is just not it has not been far from the worst case scenario. Obviously there's always worse things that could happen. Like, I'm not going to go into what the worst case scenario would actually be, but in terms of everything that could have happened, this being the best case scenario, this being the worst case scenario, it's like right here. It's like right here, in my opinion. I don't know. That's a pretty scuffed meter, but I wish I had a meter on the screen and I could point to where I think this season lies, because that lies pretty far on the red end of that meter on the worst case scenario. Because you got Nurkic not coming back. That was like one of the biggest things this season I was looking forward to. You just Nurkic is his return, and we might not get that. You got all the injuries. You got the injuries used as an excuse for Stotts in every aspect of the game. Obviously injuries hurt us, but I don't think it completely excuses the coaching. You got even Dame missing games now. 26 and 34. We're behind the freaking Grizzlies. We're 10 games behind the freaking Thunder. We're like 10 games behind the Mavericks. Imagine saying that at the start of the season, that we'd be 10 games behind those teams with like 22 left. You know what I mean? Like, this has been it's been fun for doing these streams and stuff, but this has been the worst season since the year before Dame got here. So
probably. And then on top of that, we didn't trade Whiteside and we kept him. And now, see, my worst case scenario right now is finishing 9th in the West, to where we get the 14th pick and don't have a chance really to move up percentage-wise in the lottery. And then we made a playoff push, and we're obviously good enough to get close to the playoffs, but we didn't quite make it. And then basically we get the 14th pick and don't even have like a good reason for not making the playoffs and keeping everyone and
now Jody Allen is in save some money
cheat mode instead.
Cheat mode. So I don't know, this has just been very rough. Like, I wish this was the season we all envisioned at the start of the year. I wish this was like last year, especially covering the team. I'm disappointed that first year coverage starts like this, but next year should be better. It should be better, and it should be a different vibe throughout the season. At this time of year, it should be a better vibe, because this team should be a playoff team again next season. Who knows where in the playoffs? Who knows what they do this offseason? But
because they could still. We talked about this a little bit last night too, but there's those 6 teams all grouped together in the West, so we could still finish with the 10th best lottery odds if we're like the end of that pack of 6 players or 6 teams. So I think that would be pretty good.
It's just depressing that's like, oh, that'd be awesome if we could finish 10th worst.
But like getting the 10th best lottery odds is better than 14th. You have a lot better chance of moving up. And
could do a draft lottery live stream.
Yeah, the draft lottery. Yeah. Dude, if we would have had one of those the year we got 2007 when we got Odin, or we got the number one pick that year, I was at work and I called one of my friends and had him like play the TV while the lottery was going on, and I just like ran around my store. Like this is before my business now, but like I was just like screaming, and everyone's like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah. You're
That would have
fired.
been awesome to be on.
Bye. Starts his own store because we got the number one pick. Okay. Yeah, I remember that too. And I was young, so I was what? That was 2007, so I was 11 years old. So, but I remember watching that and being super excited, and then looking back on it, would have been better to have gotten the second pick instead of the first pick.
It probably would have been better not to move up at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was so hyped like that season, getting the Odin. There's just so much like positive energy and momentum, and then he missed his first season, and the rest is history. But yeah, it would be pretty exciting if we moved up. But yeah, unfortunately, this isn't the greatest draft to move up in because there's not a true star in this draft either. Yeah. But it would help us with our assets, like getting a better tradable pick. But I think getting to 10 is a lot better than 14 or 17. But I either want one or the other, like either fall back below those teams or get the 8th seed. Yeah. Anything in between, I think, is going to be hard to justify this season panning out the way it did with keeping Whiteside and, making cost-cutting moves and then not even making the playoffs when you try to make the playoffs, especially if they rush Dame back. It's going to be tough.
Yeah. Dang, I just forgot what I was going to say.
We had that hypothetical game a few weeks ago where what if we got the number one pick and then traded back and got...
I remember what I was going to say.
We
the only two prospects I get really excited for would be James Wiseman and Obi Toppin. I'd have like some excitement for Anthony Edwards, but I'd also be like, this guy could really be a bust. And I'd be really nervous about that. The only two players I get really excited for would be Wiseman and Toppin. But Wiseman's at center, and we're already loaded at center. And I think Wiseman does have some bust potential too. So really, like, the only player that I'd be ecstatic about is Obi Toppin. Just because he plays a position of need, and I think he has the highest floor in the entire draft, and I think he still has some star potential. He's not going to be like a superstar, but he has the potential to be like a fringe all-star type of forward, which is really good for for this draft. To have somebody with a high floor and still have borderline all-star potential, and that'd be a phenomenal get. So that's what I'm hoping for. If we can get into the top 4, I don't think Toppin's going top 4. I think he's projected to go like 4th or 5th, like 4th, 5th, maybe 6th, somewhere in that range. So if we could just get into the top 4, we'd most likely have a shot to draft him, and I feel like that'd be the guy that Olshey drafts there. Assuming LaMelo Ball, Anthony Edwards, James Wiseman are gone, I assume Olshey would go with Toppin. But watch us get into the top 4 and Toppin be there, and he passes up on Toppin for I don't know who he'd like. Who'd be somebody he would draft over Toppin? Like, you could see him just randomly drafting over Toppin, being like, "What the hell?"
Well, I could definitely see him drafting Avdija.
I wouldn't hate that.
I don't know if that's necessarily what the scenario you're talking about, where we'd all hate it.
That's too high for Avdija, though.
Like if we took Cole Anthony or something, I'd be so mad because it wouldn't make sense with like our guards situation.
I like Avdija. Draft him that high would be very frustrating because he's not a better prospect than Toppin. But it wouldn't be like drafted, a guy at a position we don't need that isn't that good of a prospect. Yeah.
Mari Hazonia says it's Avdija.
I can't. It seems like it should be Avdija, but Avdija sounds so much better than Avdija.
Yeah.
God, I want to say Avdija.
I don't know.
Avdija. That sounds so much better. He needs to change the pronunciation on his last name, honestly. Like Nicholas, aka Nicola Batum. Avdija projected to go 4 for 8, can guard 1 through 4. He's not projected to go 4 from what I've seen. He's projected to go like 6 to 10. Looking at Tankathon right now.
Yeah, see, that's why I kind of like if we get into that 10 range, because like whether you include Okoro in this or not, but like between Okoro, Toppin, Avdija, there are some guys that'll be in that 10 range. Like one of those guys will probably fall to that range. So yeah, hopefully we can get one of those guys, but 14 is probably too late.
Okoro makes me throw up in my mouth when I think about drafting him, honestly. But that's just me. Avdija would be great at 10. That would be a phenomenal get at 10. That's why I'd be ecstatic to get 10th best odds, because I think we would have a chance at him, because I think he might drop to there.
The other thing is like moving up from 10 to like 6 or 7 might not be as hard as moving from 14 to that same range. Especially since we don't have a first round pick to trade like we did in 2017. But yeah, like this is the type of draft where there's probably going to be a lot of trades in the lottery versus past years where there hasn't been a lot of movement up front, and most of the movements either towards the back end of the first round or early in the second round, or like last year where every single second round pick it seemed got traded. It was so confusing. Like we had no idea who was going where for like hours after the pick was made. But yeah, I just hope they can find a way to get one of those like small forward or like a small forward, power forward hybrid.
And that's the problem.
Guy.
There's not many of them in the top 15 of this draft. That is the problem with this draft for us. Like, this is the worst draft to have a top 15 pick in for us. Because even if we like somehow won the lottery, there's no Zion. There's no there's no Doncic. There's nobody like that. You know what I mean? It's like, wow, that would be the one year we have a bunch of injuries to somehow win the lottery is the year that like there's no like top-notch star talent available.
It kind of reminds me of the 2006 draft where we had the worst odds and should have probably got the number 1 pick, but we ended up 4th. But then we traded up and got Aldridge. I mean, Aldridge is better than any of the top guys in this draft, I think. But then you got Brandon Roy at 7, or he went 6, but we traded up for 1 spot to get him there too. So, but like other than that, there wasn't a lot of talent in the lottery. You had Bargnani go first, and but there was like several guys later on.
First, Adam Morrison 3rd, Tyrese Thomas 4th, Sheldon Williams 5th.
Yeah.
Randy Foye 7th.
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot of bad players. Rudy Gay 8th, which was like okay, but then like after that, there was like a few quality players that were. Was that the Jarrett Jack draft too, or was it maybe a year? Jarrett Jack was a year before. Later on in that draft, you had Rondo and you had Lowry, and
that was Rondo.
Might have been somebody else I'm missing, but
I think there's a lot of quality guys like those who can pan out and be good eventually, and they're to be kind of overlooked right now. I just don't think there's like superstar type players in this draft, which sucks. Like you said, to move up.
There's a Doncic available in this draft, and we like got up into the top 3, and we could take Doncic. You know what I mean? Like, God, man, I'd be like, you know what? This season's fine. We have a chance to get Luka, or like, I don't know. I mean, if he was 3rd, we wouldn't have even had to get up all the way to 1 to get him. Or we might have a chance at Zion. Like, that'd be kind of cool. Nope, there's nobody like that. The number 1 projected pick is a strong guard who could drive really well, but loves to just sit back and shoot jumpers. then you got a big who like barely played any college basketball and not sure if he really has any skills.
Hard to project, yeah.
Like it's the skills to be a really good big. You have LaMelo freaking Ball, like, you know what I mean? There's just a lot of up there. If we got the number 1 pick, I would possibly look at Wiseman. And then I think you try and trade Whiteside, or maybe bring back Whiteside on a 1-year deal or something. I don't know. That'd just be a tricky situation, because then Wiseman doesn't play. Do you really not play the number 1 pick in the draft? Like,
So I would probably trade down like 4 to 5, get Toppin and like a first-round pick next year or something.
That might not even be available, because teams might not value the top of this draft. So it's like if we have to draft at number 1.
Well, you think Wiseman, Golden State would probably want Wiseman, right? If they had number 1, with just looking at their roster, and Anthony Edwards, I don't think is a good fit in that system. Like kind of like Wiggins is. He's probably going to be a better defender than Wiggins. Not that that's hard to do.
Golden State is the one team that makes a ton of sense to trade down to, because they have Minnesota's pick next year that we could get, as well as like the 4th pick or whatever.
Yeah, so if we moved up to 1, they would obviously have to be 2 or later. So if we were going to take Wiseman and they really wanted him, then maybe that they'd have to do that. But you never know.
I'm not. The thing is, I'm not sure we have a long-term solution at center right now, because Whiteside, is past 30, and Nurkic, who knows with his health, man. Nurkic should be the long-term answer if he was healthy, but he's had health issues. So I almost think maybe you would possibly look at just drafting Wiseman if you had the number 1 pick, because he has a lot of raw physical potential. He shows flashes of skill, and maybe he can become skilled enough where he can play some power forward, because the thing is, he is very agile, he is very athletic. I think he could probably survive sliding his feet at the power forward position. I think he has the mobility of Collins. And if he,
you could just, if Nurk can't play and you don't have Whiteside, you could just play Collins more at center.
Yeah. I mean, but I don't think Collins. I don't know. I guess Collins could be the long-term solution in case neither one of those, neither Nurkic or Whiteside pans out over the next couple of years. But I don't know. I'm starting to warm up a little bit to the idea of Wiseman, and it's just I don't know. Maybe he can play some power forward, and our center position isn't as locked down as normal as we thought.
As this year showed, I don't think you could ever have enough bigs.
Would you trade down for Wendell Carter and or Lauri Markkanen in Chicago's first? From 1 to where would Chicago be drafting? Depends. If Chicago is 4th,
I'll see where they're at right now.
If we could trade the number 1 pick for
Toppin and Wendell Carter,
we'd do that in a heartbeat. Or
Chicago's 7th right now,
or Markkanen even. Yeah, definitely do that. But yeah, they're 7th, so they'd probably have to get 4th, or get up there. Because who would they even be looking to draft, though, Chicago, if they got into the top?
They'd probably go after Edwards, pair him with Levine.
That's kind of a gross back. But they got Kobe White balling out right now. You know what I mean? So is that, that could be their 3-guard rotation, I guess. Kobe White being Lou Williams type of 6th man, because he had, 3 games in a row where he got 30 off the bench this past week. Kobe White's been balling out. They really need a small forward, and so I wonder if Chicago, if they got 4th or whatever, would look at Top and be like, that guy can be our small forward.
Yeah, I think Toppin's going to be a power forward in the NBA.
So do I.
I don't see him playing much small forward.
So do I, but they could go big, and you have bigs that can You have Markkanen who can space the floor. I still think Wendell Carter will figure out how to hit some threes at some point, and then you could create some mismatches for Toppin in the low post against other small forwards, and have some shooting around him. I don't think that'd be terrible. I mean, like, I think you could play either the 3 or the 4. I think he would be a little bit better at the 4, but I think he can defend that position, and I think he can shoot well enough to space like a normal small forward. I don't know. This draft's gonna be interesting though, and we'll keep you guys covered with like draft prospect profiles and stuff as we get into the off season and all that. We'll have you hooked up on that coverage.
Dave Gibson asked, I want to get to his question because he's always nice to us in chat. Kyle Kuzma for CJ.
Yeah, no. We're not Kuzma fans.
Yeah, neither of us like Kuzma, and he makes a lot less than CJ anyway, so that trade would be hard to pull off. But, yeah, I don't like helping Lakers out get better and us getting worse.
Kuzma is literally a worse passer. He's a bad defender like CJ. Kuzma is a worse 3-point shooter. Like, I don't know. Kuzma's just not impressive to me at all. I don't know. I definitely wouldn't do CJ for him, but just in terms of having Kuzma on the team, I'm still like, eh. I've never really been a fan of his game. So he said, LOL, okay.
Well, yeah, it's weird because he's one of those players that the Lakers way overvalue him, so you'd have to trade. You'd have to give up a lot of value to get him, and it's just not worth it for how good he is. And then it would make me mad that we gave up that much to get him when we could have just drafted him to begin with if we really wanted him. But yeah, he's, as Tommy says, Kuzma's a diva. He'd want a max contract, something like that probably. Yeah, he's the type of guy who would get mad even though he doesn't deserve a max contract. Like, if you don't offer him a max contract, and then he'd leave on purpose. And yeah.
So ankle biter is Grant Bassett. What's up, Grant? Said loved our conversation last night. Triggered someone in his DM group he's in. I want to hear who it triggered, why it triggered him. I want to hear the lowdown on it. CR Slacker says, if we're to let Whiteside leave, do you see the Blazers having any interest in Andre Drummond? I'm assuming the market isn't going to be so high because of his trade value. He's going to make more than the mid-level exception. It wouldn't make sense for us to go after Drummond with the mid-level exception. And I don't see why Whiteside would leave if Drummond's value was only the mid-level exception, because that means Whiteside's value would be probably less that, and we have his bird rights too. So I don't see any realistic scenario where that happens.
CR Slacker, this is the reason why Drummond's probably going to opt into his contract after saying last offseason that he was opting out for sure. Is because he's seeing that value too. So I think he's going to opt in next year for that. I think it's like 27 to 29 million or something, and then just be a free agent in 2021 when a lot more teams have room.
He had a player
and then hopefully
So
Tommy asked, can we get Torrey Craig for the full MLE? I definitely think we probably could get him for the full MLE. I don't know if he's worth the full MLE, but
yeah. You remember that no guy that was talking mad shit on Twitter? Apparently that's who got triggered. Grant says I'm guessing he was drunk. So was that in like a DM? That was in a DM group chat? Yeah, screw that guy. That guy was trying to like talk crap about me having YT in my Twitter name. And Trevin was like, a lot of people have that in their name, and he was like, oh yeah, who, like blah blah blah, and Trevin tagged Mr. Beast YT. Like there's a lot of people that have that in their name. I would have just went with Torrey Jones if it was available, but some guy got it like 8 years ago and doesn't use their Twitter handle. Should suspend the account and let me get the Twitter handle, but yeah, no. So we were actually going on it. We were going at it. Because he was trying to get those Neela Madison feet pics, so he had to like kiss up to her and defend her against the horrible attacks from me.
So the thing with Torrey Craig is I believe if Denver offers him a qualifying offer that he'd be a restricted free agent. So the tough part is if you only offer him half the full mid-level exception or around 5 million, Denver probably matches that and thanks us for giving him a contract like that. So yeah, it's one of those guys where you probably have to overpay to get him out of Denver. But I don't know if he's part of Denver's long-term plan. So the only hope for that would be is if Denver didn't offer him that qualifying offer and just let him walk. Not sure what they're thinking on him right now, but yeah, they have Plumlee's an unrestricted free agent, but they do have his full bird rights, so they can
Yeah,
re-sign
and
him to
he
whatever.
provides consistency with playmaking at the center position too, so I think they will re-sign him. Eli Wild says, "What do you think about Nurk for Jalen? Gives Celtics a center, and we can re-sign Whiteside. If Nurkic never got hurt, that wouldn't be a terrible trade. Like if Nurkic never got hurt, I wouldn't do it. Just because I think Nurkic is a phenomenal player. Now that Nurkic has had some injury issues, I probably would do that. Now that we have Whiteside, we only have Whiteside because Nurkic had injuries. But the problem with those injuries to
Mm.
Nurk is now he doesn't really have any trade value in my opinion. So I don't think you'd have any chance at Boston doing that deal. Also, Jaylen Brown, I think did he just start his max contract or does that kick in next year?
It kicks in
So
next
we'd have
year.
to do this trade in the off season. So matching his salary would be tough because he's making 27 million next year. And Nurkic's only making 12, so we'd have to trade out Ariza too, which I think that wouldn't hold anything up. But that just doesn't match up. That's like a good 2K trade to see how the team would be if you went out and got a small forward like that. But realistically, neither team is like thinking about something like that. Especially Boston though, because their whole thing is to have multiple wings like that can switch. You got Tatum, Hayward, Brown, 2 through 4, can guard all those positions. That's kind of their identity. So they're not gonna sell out one of those guys, especially when the dude is young and still developing and improving each season. They're not gonna sell out that for an injured center. You know.
And they've liked what Tice has given them
Mm-hmm.
this year. Robert Williams, they liked his development before he got hurt. He's supposed to come back here soon, so we'll see how he finishes off the year. Uh, Gordon Hayward actually has a player option. I doubt he opts out of that, but he could, I guess, opt out and then re-sign with them for longer
Mm-hmm.
term deal. But I'd be surprised if that happens. So if he opts in, they're looking at um, nearly 130 million in salary before Theis and Cantor decisions. I'm guessing they pick up Theis's non-guaranteed $5 million contract. Cantor is at about 5 million next year, so add another 10 million to that, and you're already looking at 140 some million for their roster. So I don't know if they just trying to think of how they can get better on the free agency market without having to trade Jaylen
Yeah.
Brown, but
Yeah, Boston's always been an interesting team to follow for a multitude of reasons. Just because Danny Ainge is aggressive, they've had picks to throw around for years, and they have some good young talent there already. They've always been linked to every big name that becomes available, but they've never really made one of those trades.
yeah, Tommy asked if we think they'll have a fire sale. I think they're pretty happy with their development of their
Boston,
team. I
yeah,
mean,
they're
a lot of people kind of wrote them off this year, but they're one of the better teams in the
most
East right
certainly.
now, and especially with the way Tatum's elevated his game lately. Uh, I thought the right decision for them was to go young last summer instead of keeping Horford and doing that stuff. So I kind of would have gone around the same route. I don't know if I would have signed exactly the same players they did, but I
I
thought they had a
mean,
pretty good
right
summer
now
last
they're
year.
a game back of second. They're
Yeah.
41-17. They have the right players to deal with Giannis. The versatile small forwards, that can switch and guard. Jaylen Brown's strong. Jason Tatum can defend in down low and on the perimeter. Like, they got the players to defend Giannis. I think they match up really well with Milwaukee. Better this year than they did last year. I mean, and you look at it, 2 of their top 3 players are what, 22 and younger, 23 and younger. I don't know how. Yeah. I'm gonna look up how old Jaylen Brown is, but they're a 41-17 team with 2 of their top 3 players like being very young. Jaylen Brown is 23 years old. So Jason Tatum's like 22. Jaylen Brown's 23. Yeah, they're still very young and very, very good. So it makes no sense to tear anything down.
I didn't particularly like their draft last year, I guess, but like they're going to need, I just talked about how much salary they have, and that doesn't include after next year, you'll have Jason Tatum needing an extension. He'll probably get the max. So you'll have Kemba Walker, Jaylen Brown, and Tatum all on huge contracts. So they kind of need those, like, even though they have a lot of draft picks and have had a lot of draft picks over the years, they kind of need those guys as cheap filler on their roster to fill it out. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do. They could always be one of the teams that consolidates and trades up. Because I think they're going to have 3 first-round picks, depending on Memphis staying around or not moving up into the top 8.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think they'll make any sizable moves for the next year and a half, to be honest. Unless somebody big becomes available at the deadline next year, but I don't know. I don't really see that. I don't see them parting with people.
I could see them making a trade, combining some of their younger player contracts and just going after a mid-level big. Trying to think of someone off the top of my head. I could see them combining picks and some of their young guys for a Mo Bamba or something and just taking a flyer on him as a young big. But yeah, they don't have a lot of roster spots, but like I said, they don't have money for free agency really anyway. So just looking at their roster, they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They have 11 players on their roster, assuming Hayward and Theis are on the team next year. And then they'd have 12 if Cantor opted in. And then I'm guessing they let Ogilvy walk in that situation. They could offer a qualifying offer to Wanamaker. Not sure that's probably a guy they'd like to keep. So they do have room for 3 first-round picks if they really wanted to. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
What they'll do. That is a lot of young guys and a lot of cheap contract.
Yep, they'll be interesting to follow for sure. So anyway, we'll be back tomorrow with the post-game show. We've been streaming for an hour? Normally I like to cut it off after an hour. So we'll be back. We'll be back tomorrow. Thank you guys for watching this podcast. Really enjoyed this podcast, actually. Gonna go check some NBA scores, see how I'm doing picks wise against the spread, and just follow along with some games. And just gonna chill for the rest of the night. Gonna try and finish editing this mailbag. I had to convert the file, and I was trying to figure out how to do that. And then I was like, I can just upload it to YouTube, re-download it, because I was looking for converters, and I was like, I give up.
Do you want a surprise right now? Charlotte's up 17 on Toronto. So Toronto's got to make up 30.
I'll just take that L on that. How are they up 17? See, I'm gonna go look at those scores and see what the hell is happening. Gonna make me watch basketball. Yep. Tanner Gross, does anyone notice the Blazers' confidence? I feel like as soon as something don't go their way, the few dudes just don't give us much effort. Yeah, I think the team's been kind of waivers, in adversity more so than last year.
Well, Dame's talked about it several games this year about how they can't stay focused the entire game. I don't know
why that's an issue, but yeah, that's definitely an issue. And yeah, we'll be back tomorrow. So if you guys have further questions or whatever, then you can ask them on the post game stream tomorrow. That'll be an earlier post game stream than normal, so hopefully people can tune in. It's on a weekend. It's on a Saturday, so if you guys aren't doing anything crazy, if you guys aren't going out there and raving or partying or any of that, then
or you can watch while you're
exactly your pre-game. Our post game can be your pre-game. So anyway, hopefully see you tomorrow. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for tuning in. And as always, this is it for me and Eric. See you later. Peace out.